Detention Review. CBSA or Canada Border Service Agency can detain a foreign national or a permanent resident if danger to the public, not likely to appear, security reasons, violating human or international rights, serious criminality or organized criminality, and cannot establish their identity. Permanent resident of foreign national is detained by CBSA for immigration reason. Then, CBSA refers the case to the IRB, Immigration Division, for a detention review within 48 hours. A person appears before an ID member for a detention review. There are two things that they can do: order to release, conditions may be imposed, or continue detention order. Then another detention review is held within 7 days, continued detention order. Another detention review is held within 30 days and every 30 days until the Immigration Division member renders a decision. Location of detention: a minimum security immigration holding center, a provincial correctional facility, more likely if your client has a criminal record. Preparing for a detention review. As a best practice, ensure that your retainer agreement clearly outlines if you will be representing your client for the 48-hour, 7-day, and or any possible 30-day detention review. Detention reviews are adversarial. ID member will hear arguments from the Minister's Counsel. You will be given an opportunity to respond. If you need to correct information presented by Minister's Counsel, you must explain in your submission or argument. You and the Minister's Counsel each will have an opportunity to offer submission. Review of evidence and submissions. You need to be aware of any evidence that supports the minister's allegations and assess it against the legal criteria. Refer to Section 58 of IRPA. Also refer to subsections 244 until 249 of IRPR. The Immigration Division member will review the evidence and submissions. Evaluating the evidence. Categorize the probative value of the evidence. Is this piece of evidence relevant? Will this piece of evidence help the Immigration Division member make a decision that favors my client? If you believe that the evidence is relevant, follow Immigration Division Rule number 26. Now let's go to the decisions. The Immigration Division member may order the detainee to be released or to remain in detention. If the IDE member does not have grounds under IRPA to continue detention, then the member must order the person released. The Immigration Division member will look at any possible alternatives presented at each detention review. The Immigration Division member may impose a term such as a requirement for a performance, a bond guarantee, or a cash deposit, or both. At your client's detention review, the proposed bond person is likely to be called as a witness and ask for information. Continued detention. If an order for continued detention is made, your client will not have a right to make an appeal to the Immigration Appeal Division. If you have new information, you may make an application for an early review under Immigration Division Rule 9. If you believe that the ID member made the wrong decision for a specific reason, your client can retain a lawyer to file an application to the Federal Court of Canada for leave for judicial review. The Federal Court, if it grants leave, will look at the decision the Immigration Division member made to determine if they made a reasonable decision. If not, the case should be returned back for a new detention review. His case. This is the best option because you will be able to speak with the client directly to obtain preliminary information on his case and prior immigration history. You can conduct a thorough analysis and try to obtain the relevant information and documents to support the case and advise the client about the detention review process and the question he may be asked during the hearing. This will better equip you to represent your client at the 48-hour detention review. Seeing the client in person at the detention center also allows you to establish a direct professional contact and provides you with first-hand information regarding the case. Getting to know the client and preparing him in person will assist in having a credible witness during the detention review. After being officially retained by the client, you contacted the CBSA and the Immigration Division notifying them that you are representing Mr. Juan. You also ask for and receive the disclosure of information. You represent your client at the 48-hour detention review hearing via the online platform. Here is the response of Madam Member. My main concern is that Mr. Juan is still a flight risk because he did not report to the CBSA call-in notice to appear 5 years ago to arrange for his removal from the country. I am denying the release of Mr. Juan today. The next detention review is in 7 days. Think about how you might mitigate the CBSA concern of the flight risk. Detention continues to Mr. Juan and you meet to consider next step. You ask Mr. Juan to provide the names of individuals who can act as a bond person for him, as you believe this will help to alleviate the CBSA's concern about him being a flight risk. What needs to be considered in selecting a suitable bond person? Assessment of their personal and financial documentation, availability to attend the next detention review, review of the individual's eligibility to act as a bond person, ability to bring their paperwork to the detention review to confirm eligibility, confirmation of their status as a Canadian citizen or permanent resident, ability to exercise reliable supervision over Mr. Juan if he is released. We have to be accurately select those considerations in finding a suitable bond person. To make the case even stronger, as an immigration consultant, we should also consider the addition of at least 2 or 3 potential bond persons, ensuring you have assessed each of their situations for suitability. Finally, it will strengthen your selection further to consider the type of bonds to be proposed, either cash bond and or a performance bond, and prepare a comprehensive plan for release to be proposed as an alternative to the detention at the next hearing. Mr. Juan has arranged a suitable bond person and have verified their eligibility. I represent the client at the 7-day detention review hearing via the online platform where I present new information about the bond persons and I plan for release. Here is the answer of the Madam Member again. You have a strong bond person, but I cannot accept your plan for release. I am ordering the further detention of Mr. Juan. The next detention review is scheduled in 30 days. As you have heard from the Minister's Council, an earlier review may be requested should you come up with a stronger plan for the release of your client. So the detention continues to Mr. Juan, and I need to consider next step. There are some questions that I need to actually move forward to. What can you do to prepare a better release plan? Having Mr. Juan agree to wear an electronic monitoring device and arranging with each potential bond person to increase their commitment is an excellent step in developing a much stronger release plan and providing greater security to alleviate the CBSA's concern of the flight risk your client possesses. To strengthen the release plan further, I can put forward a second bond person who Mr. Juan can live with and be supervised by. As a result, I submitted a request for early detention review. As you have identified, the revised plan is stronger and I should not wait for the 30-day review. The request for an early detention review is granted and to present the revised release plan where my client has agreed to wear an electronic monitoring device, an increase to the cash bond from one person and the other bond person that will supervise and have Mr. Juan live with them. Now here is the decision of Madam Member. I am satisfied that the increase in cash bond, the addition of another bond person who Mr. Juan can live with, and be supervised by Mr. Juan agreement to wear an electronic monitoring device is sufficient to alleviate my concern of the flight risk he possesses. As such, I am ordering the release of Mr. Juan. As an immigration consultant, that is how we process a client who is in a detention review center.